All right, we are rolling. Welcome everybody to another Sunday Live.
Wasn't in the room with me that I took damage.
She's hitting me. Guys!
Okay, don't know what that was. All right, some technical difficulties. We're on the road here, so just working out the hitches here. Okay, I think we're okay now. Okay, so today we have two agenda items, if you will, talking about the first item is talking about the new bypass road that was recently announced for Montego Bay, and also talking about New Year's Eve in Jamaica and what that's like specifically in Negril, which is always a good time. And then, of course, we'll get into the Q&A, which is my personal favorite part of these live streams. I love getting questions and any comments that you guys have and answering them and responding to them. So I don't like to dilly-dally, just want to hop right into it. So with the bypass road that was recently announced, so this was announced on Wednesday of last week. This is in reference to a bypass road from Montego Bay. And if you guys are aware or have gone through Montego Bay almost any time of day, you realize that the traffic there has been increasingly worse and worse, I would say, especially in the last 5 years. It just takes a really long time to get through Montego Bay, especially if you're going to the airport, you're coming from Negril, heading to the airport. You really do have to leave super early. And I don't think, at least I don't remember being younger and seeing anything like that in terms of the traffic happening in Montego Bay. So I think obviously the powers that be understand this and are doing something about it. And with the new announcement that they had and an article that was in the Gleaner, they just basically gave out the basics of the contract that was given. So $274 million US contract. I don't know when it's actually going to be starting, but the fact that this is a priority, and there are actually, I should mention, there are actually a number of bypass projects that have been earmarked throughout Jamaica. And my guess is that the government sees it as a priority to connect Jamaica as much as possible and seamlessly as possible. And this is the next project that they'll be focusing on. I know for us in Negril, this is important because we're obviously a small, somewhat rural community on the westernmost outmost part of Jamaica. And the next big city for us is Montego Bay. So from a business commerce perspective, opening up that market to us and making it more accessible, whether you're coming from Montego Bay to Negril, visiting for a day, or going to Montego Bay from Negril to handle business. And that also opens us up to Kingston and opens us up to the capital of Jamaica for doing business as well. So the more and easier that can be for us in Negril, the better that it will be for us. I do not think, at least in this article, it wasn't mentioned a bypass of Lucy. And if you're familiar with going through Lucy, it really is a hit or miss in terms of whether you get stuck behind a truck making a delivery and the one lane traffic that they have there, or there's nothing happening. So it could be a 7-minute drive through Lucy, or it could be a 30-minute drive through Lucy, depending on when you go through there. And that is definitely something that we would like to see at some point in time in the future, is to have some sort of bypass through Lucy, because it really is a huge bottleneck, particularly going to and from the airport. So that's the update on the bypass and getting out of Montego Bay. And even if they don't have Lucy, that is a huge plus and will be a huge plus for us in Negril. Someone last week on live had mentioned the possibility of opportunity of having a cruise ship business to Negril, or maybe even cruise ship port in Negril. And I mentioned that we just don't have the harbor, the deep waters to house the cruise ship. But Lucy might actually have the infrastructure for that. I'm not sure. But obviously, Montego Bay already has cruise ships coming in. And so if we can get it to a situation, to a point where you can come from Montego Bay in 30 minutes or even 45 minutes, I think, but 30 minutes would be optimal. And you can come on a cruise ship, come hang out for the day in Negril for a few hours, and then head back. I mean, that's a whole new line of revenue that we just don't have, that isn't open to us right now because of just the risk of traffic. And you're probably looking at on average about an hour and a half from the airport to Negril. And if we can avoid that or cut that time down significantly, I think that's a huge plus for Negril. I think that's a huge plus for the country. And then again, opens us up to getting to Kingston and to other parts of the island. So this is just another step in the direction of interconnecting Jamaica as much as possible. Oh, just want to say a quick hello to everybody in the comments. Thanks for joining. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Suzette. Skylar, what up? Elsa, thank you for being here. And let me know where you guys are from in the comments. I always like to hear where we are in the world and how far we're reaching. So let me know. Thank you guys for joining. All right, let's move on to the next topic. And I don't think I mentioned, like, we're on the road right now. I'm in New York for the next week or so. So having a little fun in cold weather running out here, which is nice. It is actually snowing this morning a little bit. And I don't mind the cold. I actually like the cold and like training out here. So this is the on the road, on the travel setup that we have going on. So it's not the studio, but I hope the quality and everything is satisfactory for everybody. But let's keep rolling into the next topic. And if you guys have any questions, just throw them in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer them. It could have to do with the bypass, or it could have to do with the next topic, which is New Year's Eve in Jamaica. So let's hop right into that. So New Year's, this question came up on last week's live and a couple other sessions that I had asking about what New Year's Eve is like in Jamaica, what New Year's Eve is like in Negril. So first and foremost, if you're planning, you would like to come to Negril, or even Jamaica, but particularly Negril for New Year's Eve, and you haven't booked your accommodations, I would say get on that as soon as possible. We at Travelers, we're actually fully booked already, so we don't have any accommodations, and there are people who are on a waiting list for cancellations, but which inevitably some people will cancel, but I wouldn't rely on that at all. So yeah, we're basically almost in December at this point in time, and if you want to be here for Christmas, New Year's, it's going to be very difficult. I'm sure there are places available. I'd recommend definitely looking into some Airbnbs if you can't get a hotel, but book as soon as humanly possible, because it is a really, really popular time of the year. And also people are, we are realizing we're still in the pandemic, hopefully at the end of this pandemic, but nonetheless, people are really looking to travel, and a lot of people are looking to get back to Jamaica. So demand is extremely high, and people are really excited for coming to Jamaica and coming back to Jamaica. So just keep that in mind when you're booking and looking for hotels and looking for accommodations. Just try and book it as soon as possible. It is a little late in the day to be doing it, but not saying that you don't have a chance, but book as soon as possible. And regards to what the expectation is like and what the vibe is like, I would say that's my favorite time of the year is Christmas, New Year's Eve, especially New Year's Eve. There's just a lot of like the feeling, the vibe is just a lot of togetherness. Obviously, there is a lot to do during that time. It's going to be different than normal traditional years. As I mentioned on the live last week, normally we have a fireworks show on the beach. I haven't heard anything. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I haven't heard that there is going to be any fireworks this year. There wasn't last year. Trying to obviously avoid a large public gathering still. We still got to keep that in mind. But there are a lot of plans in pockets, if you will. You even for us at Travelers, we are doing something for our guests and make sure that they're entertained. I should also mention that the curfew has been increased. So for the most part, for the last year or so, and there were slight nuances depending on the weekends, we had a curfew at 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. every single day. And so 2 weeks ago, it was raised to 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. And then last week it was raised to 10 p.m. So it's giving us a little bit more nighttime activity. However, during the holiday season, that's rolled back. Don't quote me on this, but I believe on like the New Year's Eve, Christmas week, that has actually come down to 7 p.m. to quell any, again, large gatherings. But there are pockets that are allowed, like hotels are allowed to cater and entertain their guests during that time. So that's the exception. But I haven't heard of any like mega parties, if you will, that will be happening. Skylar asked in the comments, will the jungle be open for New Year's Eve? I highly doubt that, honestly. I highly, highly doubt that will happen. I haven't heard anything as far as that's concerned that will be happening, but no, I wouldn't plan on it. I wouldn't expect that. But if you are staying at a hotel, chances are, they'll do some sort of dinner or maybe a bonfire on the beach or something of that nature. My point is that you will have something to do that evening, and then you also have the access of walking up and down the beach. Is probably one of the most favorite things that I enjoy about New Year's Eve, is the openness and the freeness of being on the beach and walking up and down and going. Usually from party to party or from bar to bar, because there are a lot of different venues that are having small pockets of entertainment, if you will. So that's something that I always look forward to during our for New Year's Eve in Negril. And I think that also is, especially in a time like this, that's what kind of makes Negril a very appealing place to go for New Year's Eve, is because there are other locations throughout Jamaica because of the curfew that you're like, if you are staying in a hotel, you're probably gonna have to stay there for the evening. Whereas if you're staying on the beach in Negril, you could kind of walk freely and up and down to different venues. I remember last year in the middle of the pandemic, moving into 2021, that's what it was. We were still able to walk up and down the beach and go from venue to venue if that's what you choose. So there's a little bit of a heightened sense of freedom in that sense because of the 5 mile strip there that we have. Excuse me. So yeah, that's pretty much New Year's Eve for the most part. Like I said, one of my favorite times of the year. It's super safe as well. I mean, you're pretty much walking up and down the beach any time of the night, and there are just so many people there. I would imagine there's going to be a lot of people there this year as well because of the pent up demand that I was alluding to before, and even just using our microcosm case of travelers, that looking at the demand that we have, I'm sure that's the same for many other properties along the beach and throughout Negril and throughout Jamaica. So and then even there was an article, I believe it was in the Observer, talking about the uptick in demand in tourism, which I think that could be taken this out of context, but there was a 60% increase in demand for the winter month coming up. I believe that was put out by the JHTA. So that's something we have to look forward to for New Year's Eve. Hey, what's going on from Toronto, Connecticut, Orlando, Kingston, Boston, Massachusetts in the house, Orlando. Hey, Ingrid. Hey, Lisa's in New Haven. Haven't been in Connecticut in a long time. So thank you for the commendations there. Thank you all for joining us. As I mentioned, I don't know if you were in the room, I'm here in Brooklyn for another week or so. So this is the Throp Live on the go setup. Actually worked out rather okay, which I was surprised about. So I'm happy with that. So let me know, do you guys have any questions on New Year's Eve, about the bypass or anything else? Please let me know. More than happy to answer them. I just wanted to hop on here and as always, try to bring you guys up to date as much as I possibly can with things happening in Jamaica, with things happening in Negril. I should also mention, I do have I wanted to put it out today, but I figure I'm doing the live today. We can put out the scheduled weekly video tomorrow. So I have another video that I completed. It's a real estate video with Margaret from Germany, who, for those that may not know, she's a real estate agent in Negril, specializes in Negril, and we're visiting Little Bay Country Club in Negril, which is a gated community. And we go through, last time we went through a seafront property. This time we're going through a garden view property, two bedroom, 3 bath property. And we just go through soups and nuts, everything about the property, also the development as a whole, the cost for the house, the cost, the monthly maintenance costs to be part of the community, and just really trying to give people an idea of at least one particular lifestyle, that possibility of living in Negril and of being in a gated community. And I think that's something that people are interested in what is the cost of living, of being of X type of lifestyle. And so my goal really is to have multiple levels of housing, whether you're buying land at some point, buying land and construction. I know that's something that a lot of people are interested in as well, and what it takes in terms of cost, but also just the details of doing a construction project in Jamaica, particularly a house, a residential house. So we'll be going through that in the future. And tomorrow again, I'll be releasing a video particularly on specific to the Little Bay Country Club housing. So that will be with myself and Margaret again. And I hope you guys enjoy that one. I'll be doing that. I think 6 p.m. I think 6 p.m. Eastern. I'll be releasing that. I hope you guys will enjoy that one. And of course, any questions at all, always leave them in the comment. And any questions that you guys have at all here, you can leave them in the comments. More than happy to answer them. So yeah, so let's get into the Q&A at this point. And so any questions that you have, you can go ahead and throw them in the comments, and we can get rolling. Hey, Elsa, thank you. Toronto. Is it snowing in Toronto? It was snowing here. I would imagine up north it already started. You guys already started getting some snow up there. All right, just looking for some questions here. If not, I can just keep talking. I've scheduled here can go 30 minutes, no problem, if we don't have any questions. Another video that I have coming up. So I spoke with Mr. Grizzle, Daniel Grizzle. We did an interview last week. And for those that don't know, he is one of the owners of Shirella Inn in Negril. They were on the list last week of my top 5 underrated restaurants in Negril. But Mr. Grizzle, he's like a really, really fascinating person, and someone who I would definitely consider a mentor of mine. And he's one of the founders of the Negril Chamber of Commerce, and obviously founder of Shirella Inn. And him and his family have done so much to impact the Negril community, especially on the environmental and eco side. And it's talking to almost like one of the founders of a town. And it was just like a real privilege to get an understanding of his mindset back in, I believe it was the 70s, in starting the Chamber of Commerce, the fight that the Chamber of Commerce and his colleagues had in regards to the mining of the peat, which is part of the ecosystem. So this is in the Great Morass in Negril, and all different types of fights that Negril has had to have in order to maintain its environment and maintain its ecosystem. And so we have a pretty extensive conversation about that. We learned about the history of Shirella Inn and him as a farmer, and to him the importance of being a returning resident, and also the impact of just returning residents in general, and why they're important to our community, and why we're so welcome, particularly in Negril, to have returning residents come to Negril. And he's also extremely, extremely open to helping and assisting any considering returning residents out there in the audience to be a guide in any way, and also welcome them to the community. So I'm super excited to release that. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing that this Saturday or the following Saturday, because I have a couple of more interviews that I have already done and I've already completed. So it's just about strategizing and really bringing value to you all out there, and putting out what makes the most sense in terms of value and in terms of the the feedback that I get and the demand that you have for the different topics. So that's again another video, that a podcast that I have to look for. We have to look forward to releasing, and that's with Mr. Daniel Grizzle of Shirella Inn, and also one of the founding fathers of the Negril Chamber of Commerce, and he's also continues to be a director of the Negril Chamber of Commerce. All right, not too many questions today. You don't got to make this a long one. Mosaic, hey, from Georgia. I don't think Georgia's getting any snow. I see Lisa getting some flurries there in Connecticut. Happy Sunday, Elvis. Thanks for joining. All right, guys. All right, we're gonna go for a few more minutes. A little quiet today, which is cool. Doesn't always have to be super active, but again, guys got any questions, let me know. Also, if you guys are here in Brooklyn, I'm doing some runs. I'm actually supposed to meet up with Pace Runs. I'm not sure. They're a group that I run with here when I come to New York, based out of Brooklyn, and we're going to be doing some runs in this week. I think it's Tuesday, Thursday, but don't quote me on it. But if you want to come out, you guys are runners, or maybe you're not, but always thought about running, you guys can come on, meet with us. They're a super chill group. I super welcoming, and they're really trying to encourage and motivate, inspire minorities to get into running and make fitness and health a priority. So that's one big reason why I support them, and try to get in a run anytime that I can with them and train with them while I'm out here. So if you're in Brooklyn, definitely hop by, and with Pace Runs, I can try and find them, and I'll put it in my community page if I can find exactly where they're going to be running, and we can always meet up there. Okay, Alfonso has a question. He says, do you guys have a sense of panic in the business with the new string of the virus emerging? Not so far, to be honest. The prime minister did address it in a statement. I think it was Friday, but basically he put a ban on several African nations because that's where it was found. I believe it's Africa and somewhere in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. But I haven't heard of any cancellations or anything of that nature. But from the highest seat in the House, the prime minister, he is addressing it and trying to quell it. I know the markets on Friday really tanked because of this, which I guess is expected, because that could really if it's as bad as it might be, it could really throw a curveball into things. And as I'm sure we all have learned and know, it's really difficult. We shouldn't be planning, if you will, because just nothing is. I mean, be flexible. I shouldn't say we shouldn't be planning, but we have to be prepared to be flexible, because anything can happen and any type of variant can come up, as we have just learned and as we have just seen. And we have to be willing to make adjustments as far as that goes. But I haven't felt anything. I haven't heard of any like mass cancellations or anything of that nature. I think come Monday, the markets really, in my opinion, that really dictates a lot. And you could kind of see where, at least from an American consumer standpoint, where the mindsets and fears of people are in respect to their money. And, I always watch like how the institutional money is moving. And so like, yeah, when we have a bad day in the market on Friday, that does concern me for the future, because there can be a bit of a lag effect in terms of the reaction to that. But great question, Alfonso. I will do my best to stay on top of that and give any updates. And if I need to do like a midweek live or something like that to give some more accurate and up-to-date information, I will do that. Thank you for the questions. Ramundi, see you in 20 days. Are you coming in to grill? I hope so. Sean asked, is there any ban on fishing or catfish? No, there isn't. There is a regulation in terms of how small, like you shouldn't be obviously catching baby parrotfish, baby fish in general, and you're supposed to throw them back. But there, as far as I know, there is no ban. You can still fish for anything. The only ban that I know of is lobster season. So there's a time of year where you just do can't fish for lobster at all. Or at least you're not supposed to. And the marine police are out. I do see them out there, and it seems like they're checking boats. It's I'm not sure, but the presence is there. I have to say, uh, in particular for lobster season. But as far as fishing goes, not that I've, but I can double check on that. The only thing again that I know of is the size of the fish is regulated. Like you shouldn't be fishing for baby fish. Hey, Drew, Hawaii. Wow. Okay. I'm sure the weather is nice there at this time of year. Ingrid has the right. Buy the dips. Buy the dips. Speaking of the stock market, this is definitely one topic that I do want to talk about at some point in time. And like not just me talking, I want to have an expert come on to talk about the Jamaica Stock Exchange, which I believe was the number one performing stock exchange in the world for 2 years in a row. And that to me is not something that gets a lot of attention. It continues to do extremely, extremely well, and I think this is something that we need to do a little bit better of getting the word out, at least to the diaspora and the people who are not in the market. And why not invest in Brand Jamaica and help push it forward, and at the same time earning a sizable return on your investment. So this is a topic that I that I'm passionate about, just investing in general in finance. And so, if I can shed some light on opportunities of maybe not particular stocks, but definitely the exchange should be something, the Jamaican Stock Exchange should be something that, whether you're a seasoned investor or somebody who's just getting into investing and saving for your future, you should definitely you should consider, especially if you are Jamaican or of Jamaican descent. The Jamaican Stock Exchange again is doing extremely well, and I always encourage people to hop in that when they have a chance, or if they have the opportunity to do so. All right, got to see you're coming to Negril, Ramundi. That's right. They started to do live. So Boat Bar opened up recently on the beach, doing live music there last week, I believe. So that's I can't. I don't really know how far that's down. If you know where Blue Skies is, it's right next to Boat Bar is right next to Blue Skies on the beach, and then Drifters is also started doing live music. A great daytime place. They have Luddy Sams, who is a former member of the actual Drifters. Him and his wife Jan started a bar or restaurant there, and they also have accommodations as well. And it's a great place to go for live music during the day. And the music is pretty quality as far as I'm concerned, and then also the vibe there is really awesome as well. So thank you for bringing that up, Drew. And if you are looking for something to do during the day to go hang out, that's has a good vibe, good music, and great location as well. It's pretty much right at 1 mile. So 1 mile is literally 1 mile up from downtown Negril, and you can go there during the day. I don't know their schedule, but I'm sure that's easy to find out with a simple Google search. But I'm sure once you get to Negril, like you can find out which days they're having live performances. All right. Drew brings up Crystal. Oh, he's got the days right there. Tuesdays, Crystal acts as a killer show on Tuesdays, and Lottie Sims hosts on Fridays and Sundays. Highly recommend. Crystal is an amazing, amazing musician, amazing singer. She is, I mean, she's like a staple Negril talent, like super, super talented. She is Princess Tia's sister, actually. So Princess Tia was on Jamaican Digital Rising Star. This was years and years and years ago. So she really made Negril proud by being on this show and really represented us well. But Crystal is her sister, and again, she's an international superstar, really. And I would highly recommend checking her out. Super, super talented. Thank you for that, Drew, giving us some great knowledge here. All right, thank you guys for the questions. Thank you guys for all these comments. All right, so Ingrid says, I live in the US, but I would love to buy stocks in Jamaican Stock Exchange. I buy stocks on the US market. So with the Jamaican Stock Exchange, it's not like the US Stock Exchange where you can like log into your E-Trade account on your account and move things around. It's very, you like back in the day, you got to pick up the phone and you got to call your broker, and that's how you make trades and that's how you do it. So keep that in mind. It's certainly a lot slower moving. I also say when I'm looking to make an investment or a trade, like I'm very in touch with my broker, and they're also making recommendations for me. So it's not like, and maybe you do that already now, but I know for me, when I'm investing and trading in the US, like I'm making my own calls, I'm doing my own research. Whereas I feel in Jamaica, it's more reliant upon the broker that you have. And so that's also the only way, like a real personal physical broker, not an electronic broker. So that's something to keep in mind with the difference in trading here. So I think that's also part of the reason why it's done well. That's just my assumption, is that it's the pace of trading slows down. And so you're not making, perhaps, I would say rational, but maybe emotional decisions, or less emotional decisions that you can do if you are doing an electronic broker. And so I think that helps, being able to talk with somebody, an expert, before making trades and buying, selling, etc. So just keep that in mind in terms of that being the difference. As far as like setting up an account, perhaps I would assume there would be a way to do it abroad instead of physically being here. I'm not sure. I know I set up my account in Jamaica while I was in Jamaica, and that's how I did it. And I'm sure, because the only time that I have communication with broker is on the phone. So even if once you set it up, I doubt you need to physically see that person again, and you can manage your account from abroad. There is a website that you can see, the Jamaican Stock Exchange website, so you're able to see how the stocks are fluctuating and how they're moving, sort of thing. So, it's not like archaic or anything like that, but it's, as I mentioned, it's the second best number, 2 years in a row, the number one performing stock exchange in the entire world. So just keep that into consideration when you are looking at getting or investing in the Jamaican Stock Exchange. Ramundi asks if there any new construction in Negril. There is new construction, in the sense, I would say there's a lot of refurbishing going on at properties. I know we did a refurbishing project early this month in November. Yes, of course. And I know the Palms Hotel on the northern part of the beach there, it looks like, I just ran by the other day, it looks like they're completely redoing their pool deck. Maybe they're doing a few other things. The spa retreat, I mentioned this in a couple lives ago. The spa retreat has new ownership, Jamaican ownership. I'm not sure if they've done any refurbishing. I know they have, but it's new ownership. It's being renamed, rebranded, that sort of thing. So that continues to roll out, which is exciting to have another Jamaican owned property. And then there are a couple new management or new ownership on the west end. I'm just seeing. I'm sorry, I don't know the names of these things. I should, but there are quite a few refurbishing projects that are happening that I'm seeing construction happening on the west end, and it looks like new ownership at these properties. So it's always exciting to see. Always exciting to see reinvestment in the grill. And then, of course, I don't know if you're aware on the going towards Green Island north of Salt Creek Bridge, which is technically it's outside of Negril, that there is a brand new hotel development project happening. I mean, I think the hotel is going to be 1,000 rooms or over 1,000 rooms, and that already has started the laying the foundation. I don't know the timeline on that, but they are actually considering that to be the new Negril, and that's going to be, probably, I would say, I think a couple years to get that thing going. But that's going to be the newest, not only project for, I guess it's not considered a grill, but they're calling it the new grill. That's going to be a couple of years in the making in terms of the construction, but you can feel that the impact of that. There's like a big quarry as you're going towards Lucy, and so even going to and from the airport when I came here to New York, that you're going past these big trucks and the quarry and the mining of the mall that is, I'm assuming, going towards building the foundation for that hotel. So that's also something to keep in mind as you go through in terms of making your plans for airport pickup, airport arrival. It's freezing in London. I am sorry to hear that. I'm in Brooklyn, so I feel your pain. It's like I think 36 degrees Fahrenheit here. Nope, I'm not at Travelers right now. I am in Brooklyn for a little bit, and the next I'm doing a live session again next Sunday, of course. So I'll be in Brooklyn again. This is the on the road live setup. Sean asks, has Airbnb affected business for conventional hotels? Good question. Good question. I would think somehow yes. So I can speak to Travelers, specifically my family's hotel. So we've actually embraced it, and so we have a couple of rooms that we dedicate to Airbnb, and those, I know it's weird a hotel be on Airbnb, but most hotels are on Airbnb. And from a business perspective, it's pretty good. It's a good deal. So just to give you an example, like working with like a company like Expedia, this is common knowledge, so I'm not, violating any NDAs or anything like that. But I won't say Expedia, but any online travel portal that you like, Expedia.com, hotel.com, basically anywhere you go to book travel, they take a percentage from every hotel. So depending on which company that you're working with, you're probably looking 20 to 30% they're taking right off the bat from a hotel. And Airbnb, as you know, if you're in that business, it's only 3%. So it's incentivized. It's a good deal for as far as we're concerned as a hotel. Like every time somebody books with the Airbnb, we're keeping more money in house than we otherwise would be giving away. But a very small percentage of our hotel inventory is dedicated to Airbnb at this point in time. It's just a little bit harder to manage. They don't have the marketing engine, I would say, as some of these other online travel agencies. So that's a big reason why we don't have more of an inventory on there. But you can book Travelers through Airbnb. I personally think it's a plus for the industry. Maybe I would feel differently if I was a hotel in a more urban environment, because I feel as a traveler booking with Airbnb, what I'm paying for is location. So like the question that I always ask myself is, all right, am I willing to give up, in a sense, guaranteed safety and security of a hotel, maid service of a hotel, possibly breakfast included at a hotel, for give that up for staying in, say, a really great location for maybe a little bit of maybe a lot less money, And I always think like I probably can't afford to stay at a hotel in Times Square, but I could probably stay afford to stay at a Airbnb in Times Square. I'm sure it would be significantly less money to stay at a Airbnb than a hotel in Times Square. So to me, Airbnb, you're paying, at least in my mind, like you're paying for a good location that you otherwise might not be able to afford or maybe might not be willing to pay for via a hotel. And so again, I think with particularly to Negril and particularly to our hotel, I think we've embraced it. I know many hotels, again, specifically in urban environments, they really do fight against Airbnb, and I can see how that may have a huge impact on their bottom line because now they're competing with the everyday Joe Blow who has an apartment or has a couch that they want to rent out. But for us, I don't think we're necessarily feeling that impact because I think we're a different product. You know, we're a hotel that's on the beach that I mentioned before, that more or less guarantees your safety and your security. You are really paying for a huge peace of mind and a really great location as well. So I think in that sense, you really get what you pay for, and it's not something that I think that has had major impact on us as a hotel. Okay, Alfonso has another question. With the great news developing over the past year, a bunch about new flights coming from Saudi Arabia and Dubai next year, what do you think it will do for the tourism sector? I mean, I think in general, just any other flight patterns that we otherwise didn't have that's opening us up to new market is a plus. And like that's one thing that I will give mucho credit to our Minister of Tourism, Edmund Barlow. I mean, and this is not a partisan statement at all, but I mean, he does do a great job of getting us into markets that we weren't before, and so the fact that we're opening up that far east, and it's like this is like to me they're thinking of the future. You know, they're not thinking of next month or the next winter season. Then they're thinking of the next 5, 10, 20 years and what that can mean for our economy. And that market has money. I mean, we know that they have a lot of oil money, and he's not only thinking of that, and like the powers that be are not only thinking about like, hey, let's get butts on seats. That's like their motto. Like how can we get people on airplanes? How can we get people on airplanes to Jamaica? They're also thinking about their experience. And one of the things that we are lacking, particularly with that market and also with the Chinese market, is the luxury goods items that we don't have that in Jamaica. Like you can't really come here and buy Louis Vuitton or buy these Gucci, these American iconic American brands. Like we don't have that here, but those are the types of brands that market is looking for. And when you go into our gift shops and when you go into our duty free stores, unfortunately, we don't have those for sale. So that's also something that I know that the tourism area industry is looking to increase or improve on with the product of Jamaica, is to have these items that they are looking for and that consumer market is looking for. So it's not it's yes, of course, it's about the flight patterns and getting that market here to Jamaica, but it's also making sure that then when they do come here, they are satisfied from a cultural experience standpoint, but they're also satisfied in terms of what they can bring back to their country, because to them and to their growing middle class, particularly the Chinese, their growing middle class, that's something that they're looking forward to and expecting. Hence, why a Bahamas is like a Chinese hub of in terms of that market. I remember I went to Bahamas a few years ago. I'm like, man, they have tons and tons. There were like tons of Chinese tourists when I went. I don't know if it's was the time of year I went, but that's something that stood out to me. And I learned from going there, like one of the main reasons why they like going to the Bahamas is not only because of the great weather and the experience of the Bahamas, but also they have this luxury goods items industry there that we do not have in Jamaica. So we'll also be competing on that side of things. So that's something that I know as I mentioned before, the Ministry of Tourism is working on. Thank you for the question, Alfonso. Ingrid asked a question. Do I know if a lot of these developments are Jamaican owned? Well, the one that I mentioned that is towards Green Island, north of Negril, that is not Jamaican owned. I know that for sure. Um, a lot of the small little hotels upgrades that I meant, the refurbishing, those ones that I did mention, those are Jamaican owned. So that's something that we can be looking forward to and also be proud of as well. Drew ask another question. Are you Airbnb prices comparable to direct booking prices? Yes, they are. Of course, if you book directly, that's how you're going to get the best price. If you book directly with us, or if you book directly with most hotels, they are definitely going to want to match or beat whatever is on Expedia. I should keep saying Expedia, but whatever is on an online travel agent's website, they're going to want to beat that. And that's what we want to do as well. And if you come to us, if you book with us directly, more than likely you will get a deal, because we want to, of course, save that commission, if you will, even if it's 3% or if it's 20 or 30% for sure. Hey, Justin. I think there was another question up there from Drew. Let's comment about Drew playing with the Crystal and Parents, the Overtakers, the Negril family mento band that plays Pushcart, Rockhouse, Samsara, and Canoe Bar. Yes, they are very great. Another comment by Drew. Musicians have been hit by COVID for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's been definitely a rough time for entertainment as a whole. Not only musicians, but I also say even promoters as well. It's been a tough, tough couple of years. And even the musicians that we work with, we're trying to get as much as it makes sense, honestly, from a business perspective, in terms of having regular entertainment. We're almost at our full entertainment schedule at this point in time, getting there slowly, but I know our guests really, really appreciate the entertainment, the live entertainment that we have. And I know the Overtakers for sure, like they're extremely talented. And I hope that there is lots and lots of business in this near future. I know a lot of the entertainers that I spoke to, they do have New Year's Eve gigs, like multiple gigs on that one night. So that's really, really happy and encouraging to see that musicians are getting their gigs back. Another question from Ingrid. Thank you. Do you know if the tourism minister is reached out to the various African countries about coming to Jamaica for vacation? Yeah, I know we were trying to get, and we might have done it. I could be off on this, but a direct flight from Lagos to Montego Bay. Not sure if that has happened. I know that was something that was in serious discussion, I want to say 12 to 18 months ago. And as I mentioned before, unfortunately, with the new variant, there are a few African countries that we have put on the banned list because of the variant. The prime minister announced that, I believe, on Thursday or Friday. But it's the point is, like, we are thinking of this. The Ministry of Tourism is thinking of that and opening up Africa to Jamaica, and I know that is a very, very important to them. But unfortunately, with the new variant, they had to put restrictions on it for the safety of of Jamaica as a whole. So as we know with this virus, we don't know, we can't control it. We don't know what can happen, or what will happen. So we just continue to be flexible and make the best decisions as we possibly can with the limited information that we have. And I think that's what the prime minister is doing in terms of putting the bans on those African nations. He says we need both. And the Marley kids to get into the hotel business, we need more of these businesses to be owned by Jamaicans. Yeah, I agree with that. I can tell you in Negril alone, I believe there are more foreign-owned hotels than Jamaican-owned hotels are. We're probably at that 50-50 mark, where I know as a kid, the vast majority of the properties were owned by Jamaicans. And I always encourage that. And as you know from previous lives and discussions and podcasts that we have, I'm a huge advocate for Jamaicans, especially diaspora, coming back to Jamaica, or even first generation American, Canadian, UK Jamaicans to invest in Jamaica, because there's tremendous opportunity. And I think, unfortunately, with this pandemic, there is going to be a lot of ownership turnover of properties, businesses, residents. You can already kind of see that happening in Negril. And if you are in a position and are looking to make an investment in Jamaica, in Negril, the time is now, and the time will continue to be. Opportunity will continue to be there, and I would definitely encourage people to at least consider it and look into what that might look like, because I think it's for the better. That, the more Jamaican owned properties, the better, because the money is going to, more of that money, or a higher percentage of that money, is going to stay in the country. And I think can't go wrong with owning our own, right? So I agree with that statement, Ingrid. Appreciate the comment. And do you know if the hotel industry is supporting the local businesses, more specifically the farmers? Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like, even all of our produce is Jamaican. Many of our produce comes directly from our my father's farm, which is in the grill as well. So from almost from a default stage, Jamaican hotels are supporting Jamaican farmers. We used to have a farmers market monthly happening downtown, but unfortunately, due to COVID, we haven't had that. We had one in late summer, as a matter of fact, but we've just been less consistent. And even during COVID, we had the Negril Chamber of Commerce put on these care package giveaways. We also did that with our nonprofit organization, the Negril Education Environment Trust, my family's nonprofit organization, where we gave away packages, food packages, care packages with produce. And then Negril Chamber of Commerce and RADA and the Tourism Enhancement Fund and the tourism industry, director of tourism, partnered, and we got all of the produce for these packages. We gave away close to 1,500 of these food packages, and that was in partnership with all local farmers. And we got the funds from the Tourism Enhancement Fund to pay for it, to pay the local farmers, and they supplied us with all this produce. And the Negril Chamber of Commerce actually did a video on it. I actually put the video together for them, so I was really happy to work on that project. And you can kind of see and get an idea. This was last summer, summer 2020, of us putting this together, and we did this several times during the pandemic. And I know Treehouse also does that as well. They do giveaways to their team members and to the community, and we do it with, again, as I mentioned, with Need and with our nonprofit. So on both the Negril Chamber of Commerce YouTube page and also the Negril Education and Environment Trust YouTube page, you can take a look at the different care package giveaways that we did, all supported by local farmers. And I know as an industry, as a hotel hospitality industry, we do support local farming like crazy. We couldn't do it without them. So I know that to be a fact from our perspective. Okay, what's going on, Mark from Zimbabwe? Speaking of farming, Zimbabwe, they do farm to table at their place. So like local farming place. So they're a great. I know I mentioned them before, man. They're like one of my favorite restaurants to go to for a real farm to table experience. And speaking of local farming, when you go there, you're definitely supporting local farming. Really, really one of my favorite places. Thanks for joining, Mark. Appreciate it. I think that's Mark, but could be anybody on Zimbabwe. But thank you for joining today. You're welcome, Ingrid. Chelsea has another question. Do you think that the government is doing a good job in promoting Jamaica for this season? I haven't seen a lot of advertising on the mainstream media. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I can say from our perspective as a small hotel in Negril, we're looking okay in terms of our occupancy for the near future, particularly the winter season. whether that's accredited to the government marketing engine or to us as a small property. I'm not sure, but I know we worked really hard on promoting our property and also preparing the property, preparing the product for this upcoming winter season. And so there could be a combination. I'm not too familiar with the promotions that are going on. I know that the government that is, they are working hard. I don't know where they're focusing on as far as literally locations around the world. But again, from our perspective as a hotel, small hotel in Negril on the beach, we're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good, and that's the kind of sense. I was in a small hotels meeting about a week and a half ago, maybe 10 days ago or so. And the basic vibe and sentiment of other small hotels that were in on that meeting is that the winter is looking pretty good, occupancy is looking good. And even this November, I think it was last weekend or the weekend before, that was the best weekend that we had in almost 2 years, which is crazy to even say. And so that was a good sign. And just fingers crossed that like this variant really doesn't throw a wrench into the projections that we have and the trajectory that we're on. But again, with this virus, you never know, and you just gotta really be prepared for the worst and be as flexible as you possibly can be. But I do continue to hope that the other properties are looking forward to the winter season and hopefully doing well, because I think it's just going to be as a huge boost for Negril, a huge boost for Jamaica, a huge boost for tourism in general. Thanks for the question, Chelsea. Yes, thank you. Please like the live, Shade. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Please like, and any comments at all, let me know. The likes definitely help push it out there. I should also, while have everybody on here, man, super thankful. I should have done this before, but thank you all. We reached 10,000 subscribers last week, which is an amazing milestone, and could not do it without you all. Really appreciate the support and you all hopping on these lives, watching the podcast, and sharing the video as well, sharing the podcast as well. That's how we were able to get to 10,000 subscribers, which is huge and super exciting. I think I would get there. Who knows? But we are here now, and we're looking to continue to grow the channel, to continue to grow the community. And this is something that cannot be done without the help and support of you all. And just the little things like Sade is saying, just hitting that like button is huge and really promotes the channel and promotes the videos that we have here. And that's all we ask. And I try to give as much value as I possibly can, and you guys give me a lot of great ideas and subjects that you're interested in, and I do my best to go out, find guests of that nature to come on and provide as much value as I possibly can. And I have a lot of plans, huge plans for this channel to continue to do so. So once again, thank you all so much for getting the channel to 10,000. That's a huge milestone, and I really appreciate it. Thank you again. Ingrid has another great comment. The more money stays in Jamaica, the better it will be for the Jamaican economy. Absolutely. Oops, sorry, I meant to put this one up. Do you think Jamaica will do much better than this season? Last season, like, there's no question. Last season it's funny. Like, we were going from March 2020 to November 2020, like our mindset was like, okay, we just need to make it to November, December. We just need to make it to November, December, and we'll be okay. And when it eventually did come, it was just like, it was better than the summer for sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was still like a super struggle. And I like to think that just using November 2021 as an example, looking into December 2021, we're going to be doing a lot better just from the projections that we have, and also speaking with other hoteliers and other professionals in the hospitality industry in Jamaica. It's looking really phenomenal, definitely compared to the year before. So the industry is really excited to be welcoming back regions that were pretty much cut off for the last year plus, particularly the UK and particularly Canada. And I know many of our Canadian and UK guests are really looking forward to coming back to Jamaica, and we're really looking forward to welcoming them back. So thank you for the question, Chelsea. It is looking pretty good for the short term foreseeable future. Ingrid, another common question. I've heard people say that the Chinese are taking over Jamaica. What are your thoughts on that statement? True or false? It depends on the way you look at it. Yeah, that's a bit controversial. So I think when they say that, they look at things like the new highway that we have, right? So that is Chinese built, and I believe Chinese owned, and the way they make their money back, they've invested in it, and the way they're making money back is through the tolls. At least that's the way I understand it, right? And so on the opposite side, you kind of got to look at from both perspectives. Where would Jamaica have gotten the money? And I'm not saying that this is impossible, but where would have Jamaica gotten the money, the engineering, etc., to build a highway that connects Ocho to Kingston and the time that it did? And I look at this from like any of the infrastructure projects that we have going on. So it's a bit of a tough situation in terms of making that call because I mean that like without having an interconnected Jamaica, we're still going to continue to be a not a backward society, but just not improving. And remember, like we're this is not only for Jamaica, but we're also competing on a global standpoint. And so I think when the powers that be make these decisions, they're weighing these questions. You know, what is best for the future of Jamaica? So at the end of the day, we have a nice highway that connects Jamaica more so than before. On the article that I brought up before, that was talking about the new improvement, the bypass that's in Montego will be coming to Montego Bay. That is from a Chinese construction company as well, which is guaranteeing 90% of unskilled labor, local labor, which I think is good for jobs. You know, whether Jamaica is giving it away to China. I don't know. I think that is up for debate, and also what what you feel the future of Jamaica should look like, and who should be in control of creating that future. And do we, as a society, as a country as a whole, have the capacity to put our own future and our own destiny in our own hands, particularly like to do everything and raise the capital and everything like that. So it really depends. I don't have like a black and white statement on that, but those are just some facts that I always like to throw in the mix in terms of when we do have the discussions on Chinese taking over Jamaica. It depends on the way you look at it. And then on the other side of it is like it's having discussions like this of this nature, and having the guests that I have on the podcast talking about moving back to Jamaica, talking about investing in Jamaica. And to me, it's like we should really focus on what we can control and the things that we can't control. I mean, we just kind of got to let it go, right? And what we can control is having discussions amongst diaspora, having discussions amongst ourselves in terms of, hey, could I move back to Jamaica? Should I move back to Jamaica? Should I be considering that? Should I be considering investing in Jamaica? And I think just having the discussions alone really move the needle forward, you know, and hopefully in the future there will be some actions that do come from these discussions, and that people of the diaspora, our first generation American or Canadian or UK, do maybe make a decision to invest in the Jamaican stock exchange, or to buy a piece of land down here and own a part of your own home, and take the future and the destiny of Jamaica into our own hands. So a little bit of a long answer, but that's kind of my response to that. Should it be good if the Jamaican Tourist Board did more to manage the Jamaican brand on YouTube and Facebook? For example, you can't say anything bad about China on these platforms. Oh, really? I think that's true amongst, man, even like big US brands. You know, we think about um I remember the Houston, this is when I really understood the power of Chinese censorship from a global perspective. And yeah, you can't say anything about China bad about China. I'm sure, like, I didn't know this, but I'm sure that's true in terms of the social media. But I remember the Houston Rockets. I forget what the guy's position was, but he said something against the belief, the Chinese government's belief, and they basically pulled off in China. They pulled off all the Houston Rockets jerseys off the shelves, and I believe like the Houston Rockets lost tens of millions of dollars because of this one statement and had to come back with an apology. And the same thing with the superstar wrestler John Cena. He had said a controversial statement about, I believe it was Taiwan, and they also censored him, and he had to come back and he made a full apology statement in Mandarin. And like these are just a couple of examples of these huge global multi-million multinational brands, and they censor themselves because of really the financial impact that this could have on them. And so I understand that, and this is just to show the power of the Chinese economy. And yeah, I don't know. I mean that they have to play a strategic role, the tourist board, in terms of who they work with and that sort of thing. But I'm sure they're not going to say bad things about the U.S. either, and in terms of that. So we just have to be strategic about and just use diplomacy when it comes to our partnerships and working with them. And yeah, I guess they got to do what they got to do. So no shame in that. Oh, thank you for this, Ingrid. Yeah, hit that like button. Hit that like button. Should I please interview some of the successful Jamaican YouTubers? This will be great to growing for your channel. I think that's a great idea, is having that collaboration. Yeah, I really should do that. I should. That's something that I thought of, but I haven't taken action on. Excuse me, and I will do that. If you have any suggestions about YouTubers that I can come have on the channel and maybe come on a live, come on the podcast, please let me know. Please let me know. I would love to have some Jamaican YouTubers on here. Lammy, what's up? Thanks for joining. The Chinese have been in Jamaica for generations. They are Jamaican. That's right. There are many, many Chinese Jamaicans. There's no doubt about that. I shot another comment. Jay would do well if some Wold Mayas selling JA to the diaspora, returning and attracting Black Americans to move to Jamaica. I agree. I think there should be more Black Americans here investing, and I think there's a bit of a wave in terms of, at least in terms of consideration and the conversation happening of Black Americans moving to Jamaica are spending more time here, extended periods of time. Another question: if someone is trying to get into the ground transportation business, how does one go about bringing guests back and forth to hotels, excursions, etc.? Sure. That's not that difficult. So one of the main things is that you need you obviously need a vehicle to transport people, but you need, I forget the name of the license, but basically you need a red plate for your vehicle. And we're actually doing it for a vehicle at this point in time. So it is not a little, it is very bureaucratic, but you need to just go through the process of getting registered. And I don't know if you're going to be the driver or you're going to hire a driver, but you basically have to have a much higher level insurance, because essentially you're going to be transporting the public, and the transportation authority wants to make sure that you are responsible in doing that and making sure that you're properly insured, and you're also taking care of your vehicle, obviously not having bald tires or anything like that that would endanger your passengers or anybody on the road. And I don't think it's terribly difficult. And then you also have to join one of the taxi associations. So that will be Judah or Maxi, and I'm sure I'm forgetting others, but those are the main ones that I know of in Negril and Montego Bay that does transportation for the tourism sector. But I don't think it's that difficult. It's just a matter of just pushing through the bureaucracy of getting your vehicle registered under the transportation authority. Great question. I think it's a great business to go into, especially at this point in time with the heightened demand of tourism and of Jamaica. Chelsea, another question. I would like to hear your thoughts on the use of solar energy in the tourism sector as it relates to reducing your operational costs. I think it's a great idea. It still continues to be extremely expensive. We have at Travelers, we have a 10,000 kilowatt system, which is not enough to power our system. So our system is a grid tied system, meaning that we do not have a battery backup system in place. So if the electricity does go out, we don't have stored energy. But it does help to slightly reduce the energy costs, the electricity costs of our property by having that system. Ideally, we'd want to have full-on solar panels that can do. I believe we would need 70,000 kilowatt system. So this was assessment was done on our property a few years ago, and ideally, you'd want to have a battery backup system as well to be able to store that energy. But it's extremely expensive. I think at the time, we're looking at doing, it was over our small property it was over like $1 million US to do a full battery system plus the panels, and it just wasn't worth it to us. We're looking at a 10+ year return on investment once you start paying back the loan and the interest on the loan and the interest it just wasn't worth it to us when we did the math. But it is, if you can afford that investment. I always said, like, if I'm doing like a new property, I would definitely somehow need to include that, not only from a cost savings perspective, but also just from an environmental perspective as well, because we got all this sun in Jamaica. And if as a developer, you can afford to make that initial investment, man, it's going to save you tons and tons of money in the long run. And also it's going to be incredibly powerful for the environment. So I would definitely recommend that. I know even like they have solar water heaters as well. That's actually also pretty popular and pretty normal. So thank you for the question, Chelsea. Yeah, should a clarification on T's comment. She was just I wanted to say that, but basically when people complain about China taking over, they are referring to the Chinese government, not the Jamaican Chinese people. Yeah, that's pretty true. I don't think anybody has anything against Chinese Jamaicans at all. Mrs. Nias, eventually I'll be moving to Jamaica. I'm building an Airbnb. That's awesome. Where's your Airbnb? Let us know. So at some point, I guess when it's complete, and so we can help promote it and get you some business here. I think that's great. Jamaica definitely appreciates the investment, and if we can support you within this community, we will do so. So whenever it is complete, let us know, and we'll make sure that we promote it. I got two people saying the same thing. Elvis is saying I should reach out to Soa. She's stuck on an island. Yeah, he's an awesome YouTuber, Jamaican YouTuber. Ingrid says the same thing. I will definitely be reaching out to him and seeing if we could get them on the podcast or get them on a live. Seems like a cool dude. Life with the Stevens. I do watch them. I think they're a great YouTube family. And with Swaggy, I follow them. I think they're pretty cool. The Delpats, I do not know them, so I will definitely look into them after this. And their Airbnb owners. Cool. Skipper has a question here. Do you think terminals infrastructure should be a part of Jamaica's commute, or is it not necessary currently? I think it's super necessary. I think that would change Jamaica tremendously. I mean, imagine we had train going from Kingston to Montego Bay or Negril to. I mean, that would be incredible. I know there used to be a train system in place before my time. I'm not sure why that was taken out, but man, I think that would really, excuse me, I think that would really help with the traffic congestion, particularly in Montego Bay and Kingston. And if that is at all a possibility, I hope they are. At least the government is at least considering it at this point in time. But I definitely think that's a great suggestion. Thank you for that, Skipper. Irina, I think that's another good suggestion for a YouTuber to interview. That's Irie Jamaica with Irie. Is that, I believe that's who you're talking about, Chelsea? She's another person I follow. I think she does an amazing job in terms of just the, what would I say, journalistic integrity and approach that she uses to her YouTube videos, and the topics that she chooses. She really goes super, super specific. I know I appreciate them as a content creator and also on the consumer side, if that's the person that you're talking about. Delroy has a comment. Why can't hotels contribute to the beautification and maintenance of the roundabout? Why waiting on government? Years ago, it was beautiful and well kept. See what you can do. Yeah, I mean, that's right. We used to do that. We used to contribute to the Chamber of Commerce. That is, I remember, especially on Labor Day, I know myself, I have personally painted that roundabout several times, have donated money for paint for the roundabout. And even, I believe one year we did a Christmas tree, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, Delroy has a good point in terms of not waiting on the government to do certain things. It's something that you can't do all the time. And we also have to, at some point and at some level, have to hold them accountable for basic things that they should be doing. And I think and I also know they need help. So there's a bit of a balance with that. And it's not something that I'm against, and not something that I think we shouldn't consider in the future in terms of cleaning up the roundabout. But I think, doing stuff like that, we're putting a Band-Aid on it. This is my personal opinion, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but it would be a lot better if we had some sort of sustained plan working with the government on things like that. Because yeah, the roundabout is important, but like there are like a lot of other issues with we'll stick with the road in context of the road as well, like in terms of potholes, reflectors not being there, and to avoid accidents, those sort of things that we are missing. And so I think we need to be strategic about, especially with the limited resources that we have, be strategic about where we do put these resources and where we're going to get the most bang for our buck. And again, I'm not against the, fixing up the roundabout area. Like I said, we've done it in the past, and I know I would be more than happy to do that again, whether it's a Labor Day project or with something that's ongoing. I think it should be taken into consideration. So thank you for that comment, Roy. Where in Negril would be a nice place to go for Christmas? I mean, honestly, anywhere. For the most part, as I mentioned earlier in the live stream here, is if you haven't booked a room for Christmas, New Year's at this point, like definitely get on it as soon as possible. We are travelers. We have been booked for quite some time for that time period, so it may be difficult to get a place or get the your place that you'd want to be. To be honest, so try to get somewhere as soon as possible, Natalie. If you haven't done so already. You can't go wrong with being on the beach. You can't go wrong with being on the cliffs. They're two different types of accommodations, two different types of experiences. But I don't think you can go wrong with being on either one of them. If you do want to stay in one place, so to speak, in one location, the cliffs will give you that. And if you want to be moving around and be mobile, New Year's, you probably want to be on the beach so you can walk up and down the beach as you please. And as I mentioned before, it's super safe. The vibe is awesome, and something to keep in mind. in terms of where you're choosing to be for New Year's. I think this is a great idea. I actually looked into this as a business. I wrote like a small, very short business plan for a ferry system in Jamaica. I think this would do fantastic. Maybe even for the Caribbean. But sticking with Jamaica, if I was in Greece a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and if you've been there, that's how you get around to the islands. These like super fast ferries. This is not like the Staten Island ferry. Like these things move, and I think that would be great for transportation, great for vehicles, are staying like an alternative to driving, being in a vehicle, I should say, or being on public transportation. And if you had these fast ferries that wouldn't have to go through traffic, I think that would be a great business to get into. I think that's a great business opportunity. Juice says, looking forward to linking up with you, Throp. I'll be in Negril in a few weeks. Keep up the great work. Bless. All right, I will be there. Can't wait to meet you, Drew. See you out there. Safe travels when you do head this way or head that way, because I'm in Brooklyn. Got another comment. Asylum Smith. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The Railway Corporation still exists and currently exploring possible routes to reintroduce rail commute, looking at the Linstead to Spanish Town and Spanish Town to downtown Kingston. Oh man, that would be amazing, because that's gonna really, because I know because of the housing crisis that you can call in Kingston. Like one, it's really expensive in Kingston and to live in Kingston, and then there are, from what I understand, there's not enough housing units to house the people in Kingston. So a lot of people are moving out to, say, Spanish Town, or even as far as Ocho Rios, and commuting into Kingston. So yeah, if you can hop on a train from Spanish Town to Kingston, man, that would be crazy. That would be really, 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 really crazy, and a super, super plus. Shade says, Life with the Keys. Okay, yeah, Life with the Stevens. Yeah, they're great. And Moko, I don't know them. I'll have to look into them as well. Crazy idea, interviewing Brushy One String. I don't know who that is, so I gotta look that person up. Sorry. Lisa, another comment. Roddy Pottinger from Jamaica Good Life. I think I know him. At least we spoken on the phone a couple years back when I first started this channel. Good suggestions. Good suggestions. I gotta look into these YouTubers. You're welcome, Natalie. Another comment. The TPD Co has enough money to take care of aesthetics, understand the need for partnership, but hotels should concentrate on the core of their business. We do have a lot to worry about for sure. We do have a lot to worry about for sure as hoteliers. Sorry, I'm just, all these comments are coming in now. We're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes, so I just want to address as many as I possibly can. Another co-signer in Jamaica Good Life. I guess I do got to reach out to them. Skipper has another question. I saw a YouTube video about why Jamaica should have a maintenance and fuel harbor for cargo ships passing through the Panama Canal going to the USA. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, so this was a few years ago, and this might be a controversial topic, but we were looking to Jamaica was essentially looking to be the Singapore of the West here, where ships would basically stop in Jamaica, be pit stop on the way to the US from the Panama Canal. And that was the idea. There was a lot of controversy surrounding it. I won't speak to it because I just don't know the details of it. But the leadership at the time was thinking of making Jamaica be that hub. I'm not sure if it's still in consideration at this point in time. But I know it was on the docket at one point in time. So great suggestion there, Skipper. I think they were thinking that already. Are they still considering a train from Montego Bay to St. Elizabeth? Not that I heard. I know in Smith above was talking about they are considering the railroad corporation is considering doing some interconnective railway lines throughout Jamaica. So maybe that is on the docket. I'm not sure. I haven't heard of that. All right. I think we got this. Lisa talking about Jamaica Good Life again. Yeah, I think that would be a good collaboration between me and him. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. We're almost at the 90-minute mark. Does anybody have any other questions or comments before we close out? If not, we can leave it right there. Always appreciative of your questions and comments as we do these lives, and I'm also pretty happy that I can do this on the road. I think that's pretty cool. I got this set up. It's a little bit different than being in my studio, but you're going to continue to roll them out, and I'm going to try to be as consistent as possible when doing these lives. And as I mentioned earlier in this live, we're going to be doing the real estate video, so I'll be releasing that tomorrow. So be sure to tune in for that. So that's 6 p.m. Eastern time, I believe, but you'll get the notification. And if you don't have the notifications on, definitely hit that bell and make sure so you don't lose or miss out on any of these live sessions or any of the podcasts or videos that I'll be putting out. Thank you for joining. ER coming to Negril from this Saturday from New York. Cool. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Sade. Thank you, Brenda. All right. I think we're going to leave it there. If you haven't already, hit that like button. And if it's your first time hopping on the live with us, thank you for joining. We'll be back again, same time, same place, next Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. GMT, I believe that is. And I always try to put out a notification in the community status portion of the channel. And thank you guys once again, for all your questions and all your comments. Thank you again for the 10,000 subscribers. That is huge. 20,000 is the next mark. Always appreciate it. Hit that like button if you haven't already. And I will see you on the podcast tomorrow. And I will see you in the live next Sunday. Thanks for joining. Hey, Suzette. You guys have a great week. Peace.